all the coaches in the room. We're all undefeated right now, right? So enjoy that ride, and hopefully we can ride it as long as possible. It's been a different year, and the fact that obviously going off the season the way we ended last year wasn't a happy moment for anybody in our family, and I know that extends into this room as well, with many Razorback fans. But the thing that it's done, it's created a culture that I'm really excited to be a part of. Something that I think our kids have bought into since day one, and actually starting tomorrow. We're 1 week out from our opener, and I'm excited for this group to get going. But in reference to a couple of things during the out of season, that was actually video recorded. I believe we were in Fort Lauderdale, weren't we? Or we were in Florida. We were in Iowa. Yeah, we were in Iowa recruiting Jake Heinrich. And I had a mint in my mouth, and Surrey wasn't cooperating with me that day, so that was not correlated or planned there. You know, Hugh's actually a pretty good friend. I think we should all also keep in mind that he's a human being, he's got a family. A guy that is going through some problems and some issues, but he probably would actually find humor in that moment as well. But you know, the out of season for us, lost a lot of good players. Guys got taken in the draft. Had 4 guys go to the New England Patriots. Kind of cool when you got 4 of your own guys go to the Super Bowl champs. Coach Belichick gave me a call at 6 a.m. on that morning, which is his standard usual. He's done it to me twice now. When he drafts one of your guys, he wants to do that final checkoff, you know. So I was hanging up the phone because he told me they were going to take Dietrich, and then he goes, well, what about this Hollister kid, which was Cody Hollister's our wide receiver, and his actually twin brother played for Wyoming, was training with us. So I had to talk about that, and then before I hung up the phone, he goes, well, tell me about Brooks Ellis. And I'm like, ooh, I like Brooksy, you know. And one of the neat things that has happened since I've been here is obviously the connection with the in-state players, but especially the local kids here. We'll have another couple of Fayetteville kids, Jack Krause from Bentonville, several kids right here in Northwest Arkansas that we're recruiting got committed to us. It's just really fun to build the program, but to build it with the kids that in-state and especially here local you just got a special tie to those kids. Austin Allen has probably had the most productive fall camp that I've ever seen him have. He was pretty good last year, but this year's kind of just taking his game to the next level. I don't know if it's the long hair or what. I've told him he's kind of infectious. You know, we got those quarterback room, and he's got the Goldilocks going. And I saw our backup quarterback Cole Kelly and Ty Story getting a little bit longer hair. But I was telling Lindy the other day, his son Jack came in, and he's got the flowing locks now. And I said, you've corrupted the wrong kid now. I know his parents, we got to get him short hair. So Austin's had a great camp. I think right now in the biggest picture of things, our offense, you know, Coach Fry, I learned one of the things that's really come about here is of late with the passing of Coach Broyles. When I came here to Arkansas, I obviously knew that Coach Fry had spent some time here as a running back coach, and knew he had worked with Coach Broyles. But when I came off the stage from my opening press conference, I walked down in the front row and got a chance to meet Coach Broyles, and then obviously several times since that point. But Kevin Trainer, who's here with us today, gave me a call a week ago Saturday, a couple days before Coach Broyles passed, asked me to come by the house, which I, of course, jumped at the opportunity. And on my way there, I reached out and called Coach Fry, who is a mentor in my life. And now that I've been here, so many things he taught me as a player and as a young coach that I just thought were his quirks or his way of doing things. Little did I know, you know, that ball security, fourth quarter, the emphasis on conduct and faith and all those things were things that he'd learned here through Coach Broyles. And when I called Coach Fry, it was a Saturday night about 5 o'clock, and he was actually in his home with a couple of his sons, and we started to shoot the breeze a little bit, and I told him I was calling because I was on the way to Coach Broyles' house. And one of the things that he made a comment, he goes, I know he's a legend there in Arkansas, and he's got a lot of notoriety for what he did as a football coach and as an athletic director, but what doesn't get enough play in the world of college football is how much of an effect he had on our coaching profession. The number of coaches and players that became coaches that became head coaches. If you just look alone at that 64 team and the impact it's had on football at all levels is absolutely amazing. So I can't tell you how many times where I'm out on the road recruiting nationally and someone will tell me the story of their time or their coaching tie to Arkansas or someone that's been a part of it. So just kind of an amazing out of season in that regards. I think the part that's evident to me now, I said this the other day in Little Rock, you know, it's kind of like through Coach Broyles, he was like a great grandfather in my coaching profession because he passed it on to Coach Fry passed it on to me. And now I see I've got 4 guys now that are head coaches out there in Division I football. and to see those things grow is really pretty cool thing. And specifically about our football game, you know, we got an offense returning with Austin. Coach Fry, to come back to where I started, Coach Fry always used to talk about in pro-style offenses, right? The way we play the game, at least at Arkansas, the better you are closer to the football, the better you'll be. And I got a center. I think it just came out today, right? That I can say it, right? That he got named first team all preseason SEC as a center in our conference. I think he came out number 2 All-American the other day or whatnot. He's by far, I've had a couple first rounders, a second rounder, and he's by far the best one I've had. So he's a really good player, and has obviously everything he went through a year ago. He's a great person, and just a shooting star. To think he's never redshirted either. His best football's in front of him. So he's snapping the ball to Austin Allen, and there's a pretty good football player there, and he's going to hand the ball off behind him to what I think are 3 good running backs, Devois Whaley. We have a transfer from South Carolina, and David Williams, and then we have a true freshman. Everybody always wants to know about the new faces. This young man, Chase Hayden from Memphis. His dad, Aaron Hayden, played at Tennessee. Thankfully, his son saw the light and came here to Arkansas. His dad also played in the NFL with the Packers. Dad's a big dude. Chase is a little bit smaller in nature, but he's really quick. He's a very shifty, very explosive player. All 3 of those guys will play, and I think there's a chance that we'll actually play Malik Williams too, as a true freshman from Punta Gorda, Florida. So in front of them, we also have 2 fullbacks in Kendrick Jackson and Hayden Johnson, 2 guys that are really good players, offensive line-wise. With Frank in the middle, we have a guard, Yelder for Holt, that's in his 2nd year as a starter. Johnny Gibson at right guard, and at right tackle, Brian Wallace. Also experimented, a local kid as well, Ty Clary, is working in the 2 deep from Fayetteville High, true freshman. He'll definitely play for us. And then at left tackle, another Arkansas product, Colton Jackson from Conway. Really like that group. At tight end, Austin Cantrell from a year ago is back and doing some really good things. C.J. O'Grady right here in Fayetteville, and then Jack Krause from Bentonville. We got a first-year player, and Jeremy Patton, a JUCO tight end, who's a really good player. Got a little winded at practice yesterday. You know, he didn't get a chance to join us through the entire spring, you know, or through the entire summer for conditioning, and he's a really good athlete. He can run, you know, and I'm like, man, he just was tired yesterday. Practice didn't end the way I like it as a head coach to end. I felt a little sluggish. I'd given them 2 days off. Just wasn't, you know what I mean, coaches, right? You get pissed. They're not running around as fast as you want them to. And I'm like, I couldn't figure out why Jeremy, because he can really run. Well, today he's in there watching film with Coach Lunny right before I came over here, and I come and he's got a box of 12 fried chicken wings. You know, and I'm like, bro, that's how I eat. That's not how you eat, all right? I said, we got this dining hall over here with all this healthy food. Why don't you go experience it? I'm excited to get him in that group. And then at wide receiver, you know, we have Jared Cornelius coming back. But the three returning players, even though they're not overly experienced on the field, they've been in our program for 3 years. And I think as you realize with our program, when we can develop kids and bring them along, good things happen. LaMichael Petway from Nashville has had his by far his fall camp. He's a big, good-looking joker. He looks like an SEC receiver. Deion Stewart, who's a little bit smaller in nature but real quick, has had by far the best out of season. Really excited about those 2 guys that are in their 3rd year, and then a 2nd-year player out of Smackover, Jordan Jones, who we wanted to play a year ago. We just didn't feel he was ready maturity-wise to get out there. So at wide receiver, I like the group. We got a couple other new additions. A freshman, you guys all know the name, Keith Jackson. Well, his son, Coylin Jackson, is a big, strapped-up wide receiver, played a little bit of quarterback, so he's kind of getting new to the position. He's big. He's not like, I can say this because Keith and I are both the same size. He's not like Keith's size, but he's a big receiver that can do some good things. In addition to him, Davion Warren from Louisiana, and then also Gerard Barnes from what's the little school over there? Cabot, yeah. When we went in to see Gerard play, he played offense, played defense, played everything known to man. And when I was talking to Coach, he's like, Coach, I go, what was Gerard's best play? He goes, usually at halftime he'd come over and say, hey, if I just fake this way and run this way, I think I can go score. I go, did you go with it? He goes, yeah, and it worked every time. So we're going to try that and see how that works in the SEC. Can't promise the same results, but it'll be fun to watch. But I am excited. I think offensively we got some guys that can make some plays. Some guys that have worked hard and are very diligent in their preparation. Defensively, really have, I call them the bad news bears, man. They don't have a lot of name guys. No one's getting any love in the preseason, which is great. I think that we're all in the postseason, not preseason award. So I think the 3-4 conversion has been very successful. I like the attitude, the demeanor, the way that our kids have bought into it. Paul Rhodes is a sensational voice and coach that has been a nice catalyst to our program as well. That just really excited about that group. Probably the last 2 weeks are playing at a level that they hadn't to this point, just with communication and running. And I just excited about this group up front. Sosa Aguim, we got an all Arkansas nose guard contingent with Bijan from El Dorado, Arkansas, backed up by Austin Capps, who's from what is it, Star City, and then we got Dylan Hayes from Little Rock. So those three together making a pretty good nose guard. All different abilities, all different sizes, but I like it. T.J. Smith, Armand Watts, Jake Hall, a couple guys will man that front upside. But our outside backers, Randy Ramsey and Dwayne Eugene, have probably been the big surprise in fall camp. Randy's a very active player. He's been a guy that's been on the verge of making some good plays, but he's pretty hard to block. I'm excited to get him out there running around. And then our two inside backers, since I've been here, by far the most athletic. We got Dre Greenlaw, former Fayetteville kid, and Scooter Harris, number 8, who was a high school quarterback and linebacker. I think in the state championship game, he threw for 150, ran for 120, and had 18 tackles. So I said, let's just put him in linebacker. Just let him get specific about that. Maybe he'll have 30 tackles. I don't know. But he's a real fun player to watch in the back end. A lot of experience. We've had 5 guys back there that have started a lot of games. Andre Tolliver's playing really well at corner, and Ryan Pulley. Our backup corners are probably going to be 2 freshmen. Kay Rich can go play, but we have 2 very talented freshman corners in Chevin Callaway and Cameron Curl, who, and then there's also Brito Tutt. Those 3 guys are kind of rotating into those number 2 corner spots. And at safety, 2 seniors and 1 junior, Dre Coley and Josh Liddell, and then also Santos Ramirez will kind of handle that safety spot. So I'm excited about the group. Kickers are kickers, right? I am excited. Cole Headland is a guy out of Dallas, highly recruited kid that I reminded him in fall camp that when I signed him, he was one of the most efficient kickers in the history of high school football. That's why I signed him. And I expected that same thing to continue here. And he has been very, very productive during fall camp, very confident hitting them up. I think he's hitting over 97% from inside 35 yards during fall camp. So we're excited to get him out there and show him his opportunities. And then our punter, Blake Johnson. I think I'm going to be a good parent. Some of you might have heard I had a little 6-year-old girl, or 6-week-old girl. She's 6 weeks. Every Saturday, my wife sends a birthday text. I'm like, hun, she's a week older, right? I get it, we're excited, but my God, I mean, she's not even gonna know when it's her birthday if we keep this up. But I'm learning, right? I've had a couple of those moments. Everybody's like, Coach, how's it changed your world? And it was 2 Saturdays ago, I was home after a Saturday scrimmage, felt good about the scrimmage, felt good about the situation, and came home. My wife loves the way I cook. As you can tell, I can cook a little bit. So made my wife her little green pepper and orange pepper and onion omelet. Even though it's 9 o'clock at night, she's pretty excited about it and feel pretty good about it. I'm going to sit down and watch these induction speeches, right? The Hall of Fame induction. So I went to the adult refrigerator and got an adult beverage, and I'm walking back. All of a sudden, that got removed from my hand and replaced by a bottle. When I left the day before, we were breastfeeding. When we came back, we must have changed gears. I kind of liked it when it was the other way. I could just sit in there and watch, you know, kind of coach it up a little bit, you know. Go ahead, yeah, absolutely. So that's when my life changed, right? One of the things I did a year ago when we're dealing with players, I love my players. Like, I swear, man, from first team All-Americans to the 5th string cornerback, I don't care. These kids, they're awesome, and you get to see certain things. And Blake Johnson last year during the spring, he's got so much talent. I just wanted to wake him up a little bit, so I threw him off the team. Sometimes the best way to wake them up is to make it be removed from their life, you know. And I made a comment in the paper that I put him on extreme timeout. Because at that point, you know, we began to discuss having a child, and if you're going to, you know, do timeouts, or you're going to paddle them, or what are we going to do? So I had this timeout paddle discussion going on in my head, and I'm like, well, I'm going to suspend this kid. I'm going to call it a timeout. Ever since his extreme timeout, he's been a hell of a kicker, you know. So hopefully we don't got to go any more timeouts, but if need be, he will go in timeout and come out swinging. But Blake's been a nice hitter with a punt game, and I think overall, athletically, as a unit, we're just much stronger. If you ask our older players what they probably noticed significantly about this class and really last year's class is that they can really run. We've really recruited a lot of really good speed. I think especially at the DB and wide receiver position, it's significant, and those guys will be able to help us a lot with special teams. So I'm excited where they're going. We'll open up next week in Little Rock. FAMU, Coach had already mentioned, obviously a guy that had been here. He actually graduated from Iowa, so you'll have two former Iowa alum going at it. I don't know how many times that happens, but he was a lot earlier than me. I'll throw that out there. Excited about that opportunity, that matchup. They actually play this Saturday at 11 on ESPNU. If you guys want to tune in and watch who we're going to play, we'll actually be having meetings with our guys at the exact same time. We'll watch it live. Then we'll go a little bit of preparation. But because we play on a Thursday, that very next day, that Sunday, is like a Tuesday of game week for us. And so we'll kind of be already into our preparation. It'll be unique to be able to watch them. And then obviously having a couple extra days preparation before we open up here in Fayetteville with TCU. TCU kind of, after our game a year ago, we were fortunate enough to win double overtime, but I could tell right away I couldn't wait to get them to come here because now they get to experience it. And Scott mentioned it a little bit. For those of you that have driven by and see the end zone project, it's obviously not completed yet, but you can actually tell in our players. We had a couple scrimmages in there. We get the music going, but also when we opened up the scrimmage and had probably a couple thousand people in there, it's a definite difference. That noise now is all contained in there, and it's going to be pretty live, regardless if there's windows there yet or not. It's looking pretty awesome, and should be a nice volume increase into our stadium, especially if you guys show up. And 2:30 kickoff. That's probably perfect for everybody, right? You get a couple hours of tailgate and get a little confidence build up inside you, and then not to the point where you're falling asleep in the second half, and feel good about things. So I'm very, very excited. Got an unbelievable schedule in front of us. Everybody's worried. We got an early bye week after TCU, but I love it because we got a bye week before A&M. If you follow my record, we've been very efficient after bye weeks being here. Then we have a New Mexico team coming here, and then we got a 4-week SEC grind. We go to South Carolina, we go to Alabama, we have Auburn coming here, and then we go to Ole Miss. And then we have a Coastal Carolina team right towards the end of the season. Then we have 3 SEC games at the end with LSU, Missouri, and Mississippi State. So it's kind of broken up into those 3 little chunks. This year, before people play us, I believe last year there was 3, might even been 4 teams that had bye weeks before they play us, which I think in this league, especially SEC West, that's a big deal to get fresh. And there's actually no team on our schedule that has a bye week before they play us. In addition to that, I believe there's, of the 5 of the 8 SEC teams that we play, 5 of those in 5 of those games they're either playing Alabama or LSU the week before they play us. So if you want to get really twisted, cheer for those guys the week before they play us. That's the only time it's allowed, but it's okay after that. So we got time for questions, Bo? We got a few easy questions. Guys got to. Okay. See you guys later. All right. Tim, go ahead. This is gonna be special right here. Yeah. Well, if you go out and get on the internet, I answered that about 20 minutes ago. Pat, I was right over with Pat Pearson. I go, what am I going to get today? He goes, you're going to get who's the number 2 quarterback. So on Monday, I sat down with Cole and with Ty and just told them that, hey, they both have been competing very, very well. Both of them are playing extremely well. But we kind of made a decision that if we're playing a game and to rep it out for the preparation for FAMU, Cole would take the first reps and Ty would take the ones behind him. But also that it's a slash and it can change week to week. If the first 2 weeks of camp, I thought Ty was a little bit ahead, and then Cole, when we started holding Austin out a little bit so that those 2 guys could work with our ones, I thought Cole made a couple more plays. But then yesterday in practice, I think Ty was a little bit better than Cole. So the good news is you got 2 guys I think are very functional, very capable. If something goes with Austin, which we don't want to, but the good news is I think we got 2 capable guys, but Cole would probably be on Friday when we release our depth chart. Cole's going to be first with a slash in Ty Story. Yes. See, now that was an easy question.
Coach,
Jared Cornelius, basically on Tuesday, yesterday, came out, did some stuff out on the field, but he's not full cleared yet. Expecting him maybe in the next week to 10 days to get full clearance, hopefully. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's not anything. There's something that's broke or anything. It's really just a irritation that unfortunately it's in your back, and you use your back a lot in football and collisions and whatnot. So when that gets and we're just really basically sitting him and not letting him do much. We've taken away everything, his drums, everything. He can't do anything. And he's been great at. He's been an assistant coach with those young receivers, and Jared's just an exceptional teacher of the game, great mind. So when he does come back, when he's cleared, I don't think it's going to take a lot for him to get out on the field just because he's so knowledgeable. Yes?
Is JUCO to SEC just a major jump, or are we going to see a little bit of Nance and Martin?
Great question. So junior college players, Jonathan Nance, Brandon Martin, both from Mississippi, Gulf Coast, and then we actually have a tight end, Jeremy Patton from Arizona Western. I think Patton would get the most amount of reps of that, so I think a lot of it is just individually. You know, the JUCO is, everybody just labels JUCO, but those two programs are really good and had a lot of productive players. I think Jonathan Nance, because he's a little more versatile, he can literally play all three wide receiver positions. Might see him a little bit more. Brandon Martin was slowed by an injury. He's back now. He got back on Monday, but he was out for about a week, so he's a little bit behind. But Brandon Martin's a big, pretty, catches the ball well, can do some things. Might see him as a kick returner. But I think all three of those guys will play. We've been pretty successful. You know, my first year we signed too many. I got here and they'd had a bunch committed, and I kind of stayed with a couple of them. And I think of all those that I signed my first year, Martrell Spate, who we signed after I got here, we flipped him from Kansas State. Obviously still in the league, was a good player. And then A.J. Derby, who was actually a walk-on JUCO player. But the rest of them just didn't fit our program. You know, when those players are in junior college for a reason, either it's academics or they're undersized, under-recruited, or underdeveloped coming out and they go to the JUCO. So each kid's kind of a different story, but since then we've been very productive. Obviously Tritola was a great story. You know, we've been pretty good with guys coming in and helping us on the defensive, on the offense side of the ball and defense. So I'm excited. We signed those three, and hopefully good things are going to happen. But it's not like they got to come in, and it's not like we're bringing them in and talking about them being the starter and making all that hype. Those are really good questions. Anybody else got an easy one? Yes. Yeah, updates. Well, with Monteric Brown, Buster, I think he arrived on campus Saturday. He's cleared, so he's cleared to practice. He was out there yesterday. We have to do a 5-day acclimatization, so he's got to go 2 days with his helmet on and 2 days at halfback, and then he'll be full go on Thursday of this week. Monteric is a very athletic. We're going to put him at safety and can run. He needs to eat some of those. I don't care what he eats. He can eat the wings. He needs to eat something. He turns sideways. You can't see him. So he can beef up a little bit. And then TJ Hammonds. TJ Hammonds from Robinson over in Little Rock. TJ was, I believe, in practice 6, maybe 5 or 6 when he got rolled up and had a slight procedure. He practiced yesterday. When we get kids coming back from that type of situation, we practice them like in a 3-day wave. Like, okay, let him go. If he does well and comes in this morning, he had no swelling, no backlash from yesterday's activity. So today we got him cleared for 12 of our 20 periods. We'll let him get through today. If he doesn't have any swelling overnight tomorrow, or doesn't have any setback, then he'll be fully cleared on Thursday. So my guess is he'll be just fine. I actually would like him to practice to burn some of his energy, because he's always just talking all the time, flying around, and he's cold all the time, so he wears this little red robe all over the place. It looks like he's got a smoking jacket. I'm like, will you take you and your jacket out of here, please? He's always coming in and grabbing. I got gum on my office desk. I want kids to come in and grab gum. Gum's good, you know, little kids, big kids, everybody likes gum. I've never chewed gum in my life, actually, but it's always there. And he comes in, I swear, the kid comes in and takes gum every damn day. I'm going to start to limit his gum intake until he practices, but all good. Any other ones? I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate him. 5 years. My wife and I to bring a child in this world and the people that have poured out and dropped stuff off. I don't think my child needs clothes until she's 5, as much as we've gotten. So I appreciate all the well wishes every time I'm in a grocery store around town. Everybody always stops me. So this community and the way it is, and I've talked to our players. You know, I set the standard when I got here. We were kind of in a bad situation academically, and I knew it, and we all knew it, so we kind of set the bar and the standard that said, I want this to happen, and it's happened. We just finished, to put it in perspective, I've never even come close to this, but 79%, which I'm going to round up to 80% of our kids that were in summer school, which is our entire roster, 120 kids, have over a 3.0 GPA. 80% of your kids. And I'm like, I tell my kids this, if I was in this, I wouldn't be in that 80%. I'd be in the other 20%. I'd have a strong C, but it wouldn't have been in that 3.0 club.
Are the 20% the starters?
The 20% the starters? No, we got some. I think Austin Allen's got close to a 4-point. Yelda's a 4-point. But you're right. GPA doesn't always correlate as well as you would like, which is my point here in a minute. Thanks for stealing my thunder. I set the standard, and I expected it. And if you don't live up to that standard, you are either going to cooperate or you won't be here. You know, we don't. When I first got here, a kid told me that D's get degrees. I'm like, well, not great degrees. I don't know what degree you're talking about. But so we set the standard of what we expect and how we want to get there. And then I talked about behavior off the field. You know, and you know, I know I had one at the bowl game do something, but I mean, in my 5 years of being here, we had made the headlines for the wrong reasons a lot, you know. And kids have held their standard of conduct and behavior and what they represent off the field at a pretty high level. And I think those two are just at a standard now that if you don't follow that in our program, you're not going to be a part of what we're doing. It's a privilege, it's not a right to be here. But the part that we've stressed since January and in the summer, we talked about raising the bar of our expectations on Saturdays. All right, because you know I can talk about numbers all I want, GPA, but that's not going to keep the program going where we need to go. And last year we were on the verge of it with 7 wins, looking at a 9-10 win season, and we played really well in the first half and didn't play so well in the second half, which tells me we didn't do enough to earn those victories. In my way of thinking, right, when you fall short of things, you earn that just as much as you'd earn success. And it really allowed our kids to be hungry. It allowed them to listen to coaching. It allowed them last night when I said you shouldn't go home without watching today's practice. And I go downstairs and every meeting room is filled with all of our kids. They know that the expectation needs to be in their own mind set higher to get to a higher level. So we've asked our guys to raise the bar in so many different areas on the field, which will help us produce wins. So sit back, relax. If you got tickets, I'm excited to see you there. You'll like it. If not, you might want to get them because it's going to be a fun year. I hope very much to see you there. God bless. Go Hawks.